We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
There's an old joke that starts something like this. During the space race, it was discovered that it was almost impossible to write with a pen in zero gravity. This is true. The ballpoint pen was a relatively new invention at the time, and the construction of one was and still is pretty simple. Ink is placed inside of a long tube, and gravity pulls the ink down from the tube onto a small little ball, which when rolled around a piece of paper, spreads the ink across it. However, when you're in space and there's no gravity to pull the ink down, the pen is rendered almost completely useless. The joke goes that America spent millions and millions of dollars constructing and testing a pen that could work in the harsh conditions of space. After years of testing, NASA had finally been able to come up with a product that could write without any gravity. Russia, on the other hand, used a pencil. When I had first heard the joke, I thought it was pretty funny, but it turns out it's just not true. You see, both Russia and America had plans to use pencils for their first trips into space. The problem is that writing with a pencil produces a lot of lead dust, which is really flammable, and fire on a space shuttle means, well... Funny enough, around this time, Paul C. Fisher, an owner of a small pen company, looked at NASA's problem and went, I can fix that. He designed a ballpoint pen that could operate in the unique environment of space. His new pen used an ink cartridge that was full of condensed gas. As the gas tried to expand, it continually pushed the ink down onto the ballpoint of the pen. Fisher developed his space pen with no NASA funding. In fact, the company reportedly spent about $1 million of their own funds on patenting the product. Fisher offered his pens to NASA in 1965, but they were actually a bit hesitant of his approach. After years of rigorous testing, NASA finally agreed to equip the astronauts of the Apollo 7 with Fisher's new pen. NASA purchased approximately 400 pens from Fisher for only $6 each for Project Apollo. Funny enough, the Soviet Union actually purchased 100 of Fisher's pens and 1,000 ink cartridges later in 1969. Both American and Russian cosmonauts have continued to use this pen to this day, making the Fisher Space Pen the one and only pen used in space. There's nothing particularly special about the way the pen writes on paper. When you look at it, it looks just as any other ballpoint pen would, but it's sleek and simple and has a great story behind it. And we all know I'm a sucker for a good story.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.